A post-project customer evaluation survey is a tool that the project manager can use to get feedback from the customer on how the project went. The customer's responses will be reviewed, entered into a database, and used to make project decisions in the future. This may include changing processes such as bid or testing, or increasing or decreasing the amount of communication. The survey can also help the project manager see how he or she performed when compared to other project manager peers. The post-project customer evaluation survey should be created during the planning phase. Some organizations have a standard form to send out, but this can seem impersonal and unoriginal. Each project is unique, and the post-project customer evaluation survey should be tailored to the project. Of course, a standard form can be a good starting point, but each survey should be customized to give the customer one last positive feeling from the project. The post-project customer evaluation survey should be distributed within days of handing the final project deliverable off to the customer. This helps to make sure that the customer has the project fresh in their heads and isn't trying to review a project from months or years ago. Finally, even if the project was behind schedule, over budget, or a complete train wreck, send the customer a post-project evaluation survey. This will show the customer that you want their feedback and are willing to learn from your mistakes. So, who receives a survey? If you guessed the customer, you're right. But more specifically, to which customer should you send the post-project customer evaluation survey? So, say you were the manager for a project to develop and produce a new in-home router for a cable provider. Would you send the survey to the end user, the CEO, the CFO, or someone else? The answer is your customer contact, ideally someone of your equal level. Unless you've been corresponding with the CEO of the organization, I would strongly discourage sending it to him or her. The CEO will probably throw it away or give it to someone who has no idea what happened on the project. But if you send it to your customer counterpart, this person will be familiar with the project and can answer the questions after having actually worked with you. The project information should be in the first section of the post-project customer evaluation survey. Items to include in this section are project title, scheduled and actual start and end dates, contract number, contract value, and project manager info, including contact details. The customer information should also be included in the survey. In this section, the project manager will supply information about the customer. Items to include are customer company name, the project manager's point of contact, or customer project manager, this person's contact information, purchase order number, and date received. In the directions section, the project manager will describe how to fill out the form and provide specific instructions. For example, you might use a rating scale in the questionnaire, where the customer will rate each activity from 1, meaning bad, to 5, meaning excellent, or NA for not applicable. You'll want to tell the customer what the ratings mean in the directions section. The questionnaire is where you give the customer an opportunity to provide more detailed feedback on the areas in which you're most interested. One formatting option is to use 3 columns, one for the question, one for a number rating, and the last for comments. You might also break this section into themes and then group related questions together. This will make it easier for the customer to follow the questionnaire. The groups you should select depend on the project. Generally, categories might include bid and contract, communication, deliverable effectiveness, schedule, quality, and change management. You can expand or contract this list depending on your organization's process requirements. Other common topics include personnel effectiveness, documentation, feedback cycle, performance of the team or organization, status reports, and meeting organization and effectiveness. This list can go on, but you should try not to make the post-project customer evaluation an all-day activity. Types of questions can vary greatly, but here are some ideas commonly found in post-project customer evaluations. To determine the effectiveness of the deliverables, try to use questions that are open-ended, but also force a rating. Examples include, how well does the product meet the defined requirements? How well does the deliverable meet your needs? How do you rate the overall project deliverable? Many companies like to get feedback on what customers thought of their scheduling. Examples include, did the project manager communicate the project scheduled? Did you have input into the schedule? Did you find the delays or changes to the schedule were communicated adequately? Common, too, are questions about the bid and/or contract. For example, a firm might ask, How would you rate the quality of the offer letter? Did the offer team meet your timeline? How would you rate the contract and PO process? In almost all industries, information on how you and your team communicate is valuable. You might include questions such as, did the project manager communicate project status clearly and effectively? Did you find the communication cycle adequate? Would you prefer more or less communication? Were problems identified and communicated clearly? And finally, to get customer feedback on how changes were handled, you can always just ask, were there any changes in the project? Were the changes customer-driven or vendor-driven? In this lesson, you learned that a post-project customer evaluation survey offers the customer the opportunity to provide feedback on how they feel the project was executed. The post-project customer evaluation survey is important because the data the customer provides can be reviewed and analyzed to make changes in the organization, as well as help the individual project manager improve future performance.